All right, fans, welcome to our third installment, our third segment of this season's preview here for PAWrestling.com. This video has the much anticipated top 10 teams as seen by myself, Nate Heckenberger to my left, and Glenn down on the end there. But before we get into that, we got out into some scrimmages in the preseason. We interviewed a lot of coaches, and right now we're going to give you that, show that video so you guys can see what some of the coaches, their outlooks for their season, and see what they had to say. Then when we come back, we're going to jump right into our top 10 teams, and whether we argue it out, discuss it out, agree to disagree, it'll certainly be something to see and potentially even complain about on the forum.
We're going to draw straws during this video to see who goes first, or where we like to do this like a fantasy draft reverse order,
Snake draft.
So, yeah. Nate, you're going first.
New guy, right?
New guy, right? So, with that said, here comes the video.
We actually preach that we don't want to talk wins and losses too much. So our outlook is we just want them to achieve their maximum potential on a daily basis in practice. We're hoping if they do that, the wins and losses will take care of themselves. So I hate to make predictions or anything like that. Like our dual team kind of came together. You're always worried in the off season about kids' weights, stacking up in one place. So right now, we filled the lineup and all of our good kids kind of spread out. So we have a decent dual meet team. We got a decent dual meet team. So our schedule we definitely changed. It's over the last couple of years we've done that in anticipation of this. But this year we kind of changed it more. I mean, we added the Bethlehem Liberty, the holiday tournament up there. And hopefully our kids not take losses, but receive big challenges up there. I love Brad Breeze and Rob Begley and Sun Valley. Their program is built over the last 5-8 years. So those guys will be in there. And the downtown East coaches always. So it's competitive as far as coaching, and when you have good coaching, the teams are going to improve through the year.
First preseason's been great. Kids are working hard, doing everything we ask of them, so it's been good. It's been awesome. It's been great. Rocco's been helping me every step of the way though, so he's still there. He's in my ear. I call him all the time. But transition's been good. We got a good group of new coaches in there working. So it's been fun. We're young, but like I said, they're working hard. We got some young kids that I think are ready to step in the lineup, ready to go right now. So I'm excited about them. We got some senior guys that are still on football, but when they get back in the room, I'm excited about them too. So all in all, I'm excited. I think it's just, the expectation that we set for the kids. The program sets with Conti, Fantez, and now with me in there, just keeping that continuity of that expectation that we set for them and keep them working hard, and good things happen. I think we're right there. I know Strathaven's, they're supposed to be good. Conestoga's supposed to be good. Ridley doesn't look bad. I mean, they're all good. You know what I mean? It'll be a tough year. A lot of back and forth with everybody, but I think everybody's in the mix, including us. At the end, there's, the usuals will be there, I'm sure. Council Rock, Quakertown's good, Henderson's good, Sun Valley, Penridge. I think we're just getting better every year, as a district. So all those guys are good. There's probably handful of teams I didn't even mention that are right there. Boyertown, all those guys are good.
We're very young. We got a lot of freshmen coming in. I think we lost 12 seniors last year, so we're basically in rebuilding phase. Yeah, Danny Hansberry's probably the one that went to regionals last year. Had some injuries and stuff that really hurt him. So this
Coming
year,
off of mono, he said he was.
Yeah. So this year, hopefully he's healthy and he has a real good shot of doing very well. And Ernazar and Beckens are the two Russian guys that they're studs. So hopefully they come together.
Those upper middleweight guys?
Probably right around 52, anywhere from 52, 60, and 72. I mean, I know Quakertown's loaded again, South back again. So, I mean, they're the two teams that we look to try to emulate. So, I don't really follow too far out of our SOL just because I got so much work to do with 75 kids.
Yeah, and Pennsbury's not too bad
And
either.
Pennsbury's, yeah, and they were young last year, so
Yeah, we put a lot of time in the off season, working on improving our technical ability. Got a lot of young wrestlers. Have 2 seniors, young team, young captains. A lot coming up from the middle school. So really putting the foundation together for our program. Fundamentally, what we want to do, and improving on our technique and skill and our effort. It's great. I mean, it's good to have supportive parents that love wrestling and kids that love wrestling and kids that come in with technique and a good foundation. So we're going to see kind of a wealth of club wrestling from Hatboro Horsham, and hopefully that carries over into the postseason and helps us get some high finishes for some of these guys. Chris Staub returns. He's a regional qualifier from a year ago, second in District 1 South. We have Ryan Allgaier, third District 1 South regional qualifier as well. So both of those guys win leaders for us, neck and neck in pins last year for us. So hopefully they're looking to turn a corner mentally and physically this year, try to get to Hershey. It's great. Ryan, when he's healthy, he's a scrappy wrestler, whether we're having him cut 2 weight classes down or anything like that. He's a real gritty wrestler and usually can fight for a decision either way, which is what we need in our lineup. Benny comes in and is immediately competitive, within his weight class and within our room. He brings a wealth of knowledge and ability, and it certainly helps all of our young guys and our light guys build a good group of live go wrestlers for us. Yeah, I think Quakertown's got a strong program. Whether they graduated guys or not is irrelevant. They year in and year out seem to be kind of the team to beat or the team to aspire to. They got some returning state guys, so they're certainly strong within our own league. Castle Rock South always has a strong program, North as well. I think Penridge has been on the rise, and they're looking to do things in the postseason. So it's competitive. I think CV South has really good technique and some good wrestlers there as well. So Suburban 1's definitely a monster. We're happy to be in District 1 South and not meet them until regionals, but there's a lot of competitive teams this year. Yeah, I think those overnight tournaments at Coal Cracker, we'll be able to see teams that we've never seen or that we would only see if we get to states. The overnight trip and just being mentally prepared, things like that, gives us a good dry run for what it looks like going into regionals or going into states. Wrestling a team like Upper Perk, we wrestled them last year. We had Methacton on the schedule as well, so we're looking to branch out and wrestle other teams outside of Suburban 1, and in other leagues that are going to be competitive with us. They have some good lightweights, we have some good lightweights, and that's how I try to balance the schedule, is find things that are going to, what's the best bang for our our comp points, and try to get competitive duels or at least competitive bouts for some of my better wrestlers.
Really solid, non-stop. We went straight from Hershey to NHSCAs, from NHSCAs we rolled right into our freestyle season. As a team, just as Sun Valley kids, I think we had 7 kids qualify for Pennsylvania Freestyle States, and we had 4 kids qualify for Fargo, so haven't stopped. We always set a level of expectations every year for what we expect the team to be able to do. This year's no different. I guess, when we kind of see how things are shaping out in the off season, I guess the expectations get a little bit bigger. We ultimately want to be able to be one of those teams that are perennially wrestling on the second week of district duels, and having a shot at going to Hershey as a team. Brandon Carr, he wrestled for me for the last couple of years during the off season. He's lived in the district his whole life, and he just transferred in from Archmere. And then Hunter Delaney just came in to the school district about 2 weeks ago. They're both super tough. We expect them to add a lot of depth to our lineup and make us really solid. Actually, a handful of freshmen that I've coached since they were about 5 years old. Anthony Barone, RJ Scherer, and JP Griswold. They all wrestled. They all play football, so I didn't really have them as much in the off season. I finally just got them back yesterday. Now that the football season ended, Kennett's super tough. I hope that it's ideally us and Kennett. Oxford's always getting better. Tony Fabry does a great job. Unionville's got a new head coach. He's an awesome guy. He knows what he's doing. Same thing with Great Valley, with Scott G. He's an awesome guy. He used to coach out at Kennett. So the league's going to be getting a lot tougher over the next couple years on the American. Hopefully this year the American's tougher than the National for the first time in a long time. But we'll see how that plays out, because Henderson's still, I think, king of the league until someone knocks him off. District 1 as a whole, I felt like last year the district took half of a step back team-wise. I really believe that your Quakertown, Council Rock South, your Penn Ridge, all those teams are really, really tough. Perk Valley, super tough. Strathaven returns a boatload of state qualifiers. I'm hoping that District 1 as a whole gets more medals at Hershey individually, and I'm hoping that 1 or 2 District 1 teams are able to place in the team duels.
So Council Rock South this year, we're very excited. We have super high expectations, although we lost a big chunk of our lineup because we were very senior laden last year up top. Kind of middleweights and on up top. It's hard to replace all those guys. A lot of wins, a lot of postseason medals, and just a lot of experience when you're a senior, especially in dual meets, understanding team score and fighting off points. So I'm not sure how we're going to replace those guys, but we'll figure that out as the season goes. Our guys are obviously growing, and we're trying to spread some guys out. So there's going to be a lot of competition in the room, and that will shape our lineup.
Do you have any newcomers that are coming in from the middle schools?
We have a really nice group of 9th graders, some with experience, some that are inexperienced, and it's still too early to tell if any of those guys are going to break into the lineup. But I'm super excited about all of our freshmen. There's probably about 4 guys that you could see in and out of the lineup, maybe at some point either this year or the next year or 2. Patty Wallishin is probably the guy with the highest ceiling right now, as he has the most experience coming up from our youth program in our middle school. So
we all know that name.
Yeah, he's no different than the other brothers. Hard-nosed, blue-collar, competes, and we're looking to see how he does this year. 2 state qualifiers back. Luke Ryder, who was a medalist last year, so obviously he's going to look to improve upon his 8th place podium finish last year. He's just a great team leader. He just does everything right on and off the mat. And now being a junior, this will be a big year for him. Bekruz Dridnov had a great summer. Won a Fargo Cadet National title, which is as big as it gets. So his freestyle wrestling's off the charts. Was a state qualifier last year. Lost in the blood round in a really deep weight. So now
a loaded weight class.
A loaded weight class. So now he needs to get on the podium. Bar none, really, really high on the podium. Anything less, I think, would be upsetting for both him and us. That's really, climb as high as we can this year with Beck. But first, he's got to get on there. So we're excited for him as well. We have a bunch of other guys that I think are going to get the state tournament as well. Connor Lenahan had a great season last year, and then when Luke dropped, he bumped out, but he was ranked in the region and had a really good year. Now he's a full-size 107-pounder, so
your depth is good.
So our depth is good there. And then you got some other guys back that just did a really nice job last year for us. They're seniors this year, like Andrew Lindros, who's just been getting better and better every single year. We have some other upperclassmen up top. Joe Fortunato, some guys that have some wrestling varsity experience. Ryan Gottwald, they wrestled a few varsity matches here and there, so we're looking to see if they can break into the lineup full time. Our junior class is really deep. That's kind of our biggest grade level right now.
Is that where you need to see the most wins kind of?
Yeah, we got some guys that are just wrestling really hard in practice, and guys like Scott Linkwich, Aiden Murray, that have been JV most of their career, and it's going to be really exciting. We're excited for all these guys to see if they can break into the lineup. And then our sophomores last year, 2 guys that were really standout freshmen last year, and now our sophomores, Ben Brillhart and Gavin Cole, wrestled deep into the regional tournament, got great experience last year, wrestled with the best kids in our region, and we're right there making it to the state tournament. So we look to get those guys, deeper into the postseason.
Yeah, those guys wrestled hard.
Yeah, and as freshmen, they wrestled, well beyond their years. They're very mature on the mat. And one guy that I think everybody needs to keep an eye on is Ajay Bhatt. Kind of came out of nowhere last year.
He's got the mask on. He's still wearing the mask.
No, I think he had 6 wins as a freshman, and then last year was a district finalist. went to the regional tournament, and he's just made really, really great improvement. So I'm sure I'm missing some names.
He's slapped together for a young guy.
He really, really did a nice job. And again, he's committed himself to the sport. The only way you get better in this sport is by, doing it all spring, summer, fall. And some of our guys that have been improving have been buying into that. So I'm sure I'm forgetting some names out there. It's typical cast of characters. I think Quakertown's the best team in the district coming into the season. They just got some hammers is an understatement coming back, and they're very well coached. They're our biggest rival. We've been battling for years with them, and every match is close, and they bring out the best in us. I hope we do the same with them, and I think we see them early on in the year, and that's going to be a good test for us.
You also have a good Penn Ridge team.
Yeah, we wrestle. We really changed.
You have a busy December.
We changed our schedule this year. We've had the same schedule for 20 years, and we said it's time to really kind of mix it up and just kind of get out of our comfort zone a little bit, do some different things. So we see them. We see Faith Christian Academy, who I personally think is probably one of the best teams in all of Pennsylvania, irrelevant of Class AA or AAA. They're just loaded, and so we want to test ourselves against those guys, see where we're at, see what kind of improvements we make. We're wrestling Penn Ridge. Pennsbury's got everybody back from last year. They really made huge improvements last year. I think, you go to the other side. I think Perk Valley has some really good guys. If they can stay injury-free, unfortunately last year they got banged up a little bit.
Especially at the end of the season.
Yeah, if they can stay injury-free, they're going to have a really, really nice team. And then, of course, you got the trio of Springford, Boyertown, and O&J. And those guys are going to be good every year. A down year for them is a good year for everybody else. And they're just so well coached. I think, those guys will be fine. So this year should be pretty interesting, I think. A lot of parity, and that's exciting for District 1.
It puts us in a great position this year. Just having that experience, having that confidence going into the season gives us a good head start. It shows us exactly what we need to work on. That's what these first tournaments are for, just to see where we are, where we stand, what we need to improve on. It's great to have that competition locally. Without it, you don't rise to the occasion, and that's what we're looking to do. We're going to rise up and meet the challenge. Just to improve overall as a team. We're on the right track. We're headed in the right direction, just to keep that ball rolling. The wins and losses will come, and just to keep improving, just become a better team overall. If I knew who was going to win, we wouldn't have to wrestle. I'd be a betting man, but we're going to have to see how the cards play out, and we'll take on whoever steps in. That's really hard to narrow down. It's really hard to narrow down. I've got a good squad. I've got a lot of good individuals. But like I said before, as a team, we're going to rise up together, and those few individuals that may rise to the top will have a better chance at it.
We have Michael Cliver. He should do well for us. Devin Pickett, our heavyweight. Will Malin. We got some other guys coming up that should make a little bit of noise. Definitely Quakertown, Council Rock South are going to be tough, as always. I'm sure those two will battle it out this year. Souderton, Penn Ridge, they're going to be tough. We'll see what East has this year.
Yeah, I mean, Penn Ridge returns their whole team, so that should be an interesting squad they have.
Definitely. They will be tough. And we'll see how our league goes.
Preseason looks real good. We got a ton of ninth graders in that have a little bit of experience. We're looking forward to getting them ready for high school. And it looks like we're starting to get some numbers in this year, which is going to help. Expectations, I'm hoping to do at least 60%, 70% this year. I think we have experience coming in. We're young, but I think the kids that we have, we can do better than last year without giving up forfeits and wrestling some of these kids that have a little bit of background. We have a few. Brock, I see a lot with him. He's strong. He's fast. He knows how to wrestle. We just got to get him a little bit aggressive, get him ready for high school. There's a few new freshmen coming in. We have a couple girls that I'm looking forward to that are going to do well, that are very athletic, and hopefully get this girls team rolling.
Preseason's been going great. We've had a lot of attendance. I'm really happy that our population's up with wrestling. We have a lot of new kids. So this is our year where we've been looking forward to. We have a lot of seniors, and we've been building. So my expectation is that we have a lot of success on the mat. No new kids. What I'm looking forward to is, we had 5 league champions last year, and I'm hoping that, and 4 of them were juniors. So I'm hoping they all come back and have success again.
Good. Kids put a lot of work in this year. Graduated a lot, and everybody knows that. But the kids we had last couple of years put a lot of time this summer. I'm excited for them. We have 3 or 4 kids that were behind veteran guys last year. They're making their varsity debut, and they're chomping at the bit, man. They're ready. Just same thing, like off-season training. The guys that graduated, having someone right behind them to push them, and then the next group of kids come up. Like I said, I have like juniors. They're going to start. Been behind guys for the last 2 years, so they'll be ready. All the Downing towns every year, consistency. With West, East. Coachville's going to be much improved. It's always competitive. So for us too, like I said, we're younger. I don't want to use reload, but we're a little bit younger than we've been, so it's going to be very competitive. Well, it's usually same cast of characters: Rock, South, Quakertown. We wrestled Penridge last year. They got everybody coming back. They're going to be tough. Sun Valley's on the rise. They have a really nice roster. Strathaven, Springford's always in the mix. Boyertown, a lot of the same programs. Again, Sun Valley will be up, Strathaven. I think we're in the mix somewhere.
Real good. We have a very large team this year, somewhere between 40 and 50 kids, 22 freshmen, have a solid group of guys coming up. We hope to have a solid year, solid league year, hopefully pushing 17 to 18 wins this year. Going to have a really good year. We have a couple good freshmen, obviously, coming up. The youth program's starting to kick them out. We have 7 regional qualifiers in a room this year, so we were looking forward to getting them all at the right weights.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Now, the much-anticipated time is here to see the reveal of our top 10s. There was Mike tasked us with coming up with the top 10. We had a deadline to get them in. We did not work together any way, shape, or form. There were, I will say, some emails that went back and forth today, Monday, changing them upon seeing each other's because there ultimately is a team that you just forget about, not because they're forgettable, just because you're looking at so many other factors, looking at some other teams, and you're like, you face palm and I can't believe I messed it up. And when I say we, Glenn and I, Nate was stone cold locked in, didn't make any changes.
Well, he's a professional.
Yes, we're the amateurs here. So in a second, Mike's gonna throw that graphic up. There it is, and we're gonna look at our top 10s here. There was 0. Not that we didn't confer at all, but there was zero deviation from either of our top 4s. You can see there. Faith Christian is the class of District 1, and while they are a double-A school, we looked at it ranking as far as the top team, and it couldn't go without saying that they are a top team. Quakertown is a second behind them, but we do see them in a dual meet this year, so that should be a good matchup. Or no, I'm sorry, not Quakertown, Rock South and Faith Christian Wrestling. I apologize. Rock South is our third team. Now, this is all subject to change because tomorrow they do head off, go head-to-head, and last year we all had, Glenn and I both had Rock South head to Quakertown, and then we go a week later and Quakertown beat them. And then, again, a team that we talked about in so many different ways already in our other 2 videos, Penridge, comes in as the 4th best team. Something that they did in that dual meet last week is they went for the best matchups possible at certain aspects, whereas they probably could have made some moves to put themselves in a better situation to win the dual meet. But in talking to their coaches after the match, what is winning a match in December?
Yeah, both
really
coaches.
Matter. Both coaches were all about the matchups and getting the best competition possible early in the season for their team, and it turned out to be a really great dual meet with a lot of back and forth and big pins, big wins, and Penridge I think will distance themselves as the fourth best team in our region.
Yeah,
Now-
I mean, and that jumps out, I'm sure, to Nate and everyone out there listening, and certainly you, Joe, when we look and we all have these first four, because the first four, when we do the district seeding, at the end of the season for the district duels, you got to get those top four right. And I think we're knowledgeable enough. We're not amateurs with our rankings and the sport at this point to see that these are the four best teams. And Penn Ridge, really just lost that match narrowly to Council Rock South. You look at the Martinelli match against Lanahan, that goes the other way, possibly a different outcome. You take away some of those bonus points, Joe, a different outcome. And both coaches talked about that. But yeah, they're a month away, maybe two, because Council Rock South's all about the postseason in March and getting to Hershey both as a team and in the individual. So really good to see that we're all on the same page, and I hope that most of the District 1 world is there, because there are times when coaches and fans have a misconception of what these top four teams are like. These are legitimate top four teams. Not only, I don't think Penn Ridge is getting the state recognition that they should at this point, and we can talk about those rankings at a higher level, but I'm really pleased that we're there. Now, I'm going to jump in here at number 5 because I have a different guy here, different team here, with Springford, and I will not remove Springford from number 5 until I see their squad. I mean, they had none of the Smiths
at full strength.
At full strength, full squad. The Smith brothers in, the Smith family in. I don't think they're all brothers, but and you can see that I kind of stuck with my old school thinking here that you just Springford will remain in the top 5 until they prove otherwise. And that pack is tough. I mean, you got Boyertown this year. We don't know where O&J is going to land. Certainly Perkiomen Valley is a team on the rise, and that's where Nate and Joe have Perk Valley. So I'm just saying I'm going to be patient with Springford. I'm going to leave them there for a little bit. They wrestled Council Rock South really with a depleted lineup, so it's not really fair to judge them where they are. But I'm sure, Nate, you're going to talk a little bit more about Perkiomen Valley, and certainly Joe, seeing them in the pack.
Yeah, it's tough to rank them having not seen them so far, but just with their lineup, you just look up and down. There's somebody at every spot. Starting with Max Tansini, a tough freshman coming right in. In the middle of the lineup, you have Keikos. Up top, you got the Euchre brothers.
The Pascos.
The Pascos. There's a bunch of brothers there, right?
Yes, they've, and that's why I think Nate and I landed in the same spot, having them at 5. The question is how, being in the situation, first time with this much discussion about them. There's no hiding it anymore. The talent that they have, they're a good team. They're on the cusp of being one of a team that could push for a spot to represent state represent District 1 in state duels.
Yeah, and we didn't get to see them last year in the postseason. They opted out, knowing that they had those injuries, and just felt that they wanted to give another. At least their ranking, because at the time in the meeting, they had to be looked at what they had going into that tournament. I think that's something, these rankings are going to change probably 20 times between now and the end of the season. But Perkiomen Valley, they're going to be tested in the pack, day in and day out with their regular dual meets. But to me, they're just not proven at that next level. And they weren't on the big stage last year. So this is a team that needs to make that turn for sure. But I think they are deserving of a top 8 ranking. We'll see if they can hold their own.
I'll jump in and go at 6. I put Sun Valley. Nate and I, as you can see, having similar thoughts about that. Probably for the same reasons. On the heels of what they have returning, it always helps when you get transfers in for whatever reason. So they're benefiting from the 2 transfers into their program, and a lot of those guys wrestling year-round in that Black Sheep Club down I believe is in Aston, Nate?
Somewhere. I try not to go down that way.
Parts unknown, yeah.
He said that off camera as well. He means it.
But, again, Coach Tom Ellis, had the privilege to get to know him over the past several years. He seems to get the most out of his guys, and this is a year where he comes in with probably he's not surprising anyone at this point. He's on everyone's radar. Again, so same thing with the PV. how will they react to these expectations, because it's not like there are expectations, even though we're ranking them here. Those expectations are in those rooms, right?
Yeah.
Like those are things that those kids and those coaches manage on a daily basis.
Yeah, Coach Ellis said in the video that this is his best team. Individually, I've seen them have a lot of success at Sun Valley. I have not seen the team's success at the dual level. So it'll be an interesting season for them. They're going to have to stay healthy. I think most teams on this list need to stay healthy to remain, in the top 5, top 8. So we'll see how they do as a team. I have Boyertown here at number 6. Again, Boyertown gets a lot of state recognition in PA Power. I believe they are ranked in the top 25. They are at number 23. So the Pack's still getting the notoriety that they deserve. I think Boyertown and Springford and Perkiomen Valley are going to battle it out, and that's why I have them kind of grouped together here. As you can see, I have that Pack grouping right here. So that's my pick at 6.
I think the second half of the top 10, it's just they're at this point of the season. Obviously, you don't know too much about the whole lineups. It's really tough to kind of separate that cluster. I like Sun Valley. Their lineup obviously is very talented. We talked about what Coach Ellis is doing down there. They're almost in the same way that Council Rock South has that energy and that momentum. The way they wrestle as a team, Sun Valley's kind of getting that momentum dual meet wise. One kid wins, it gets pretty rowdy on the Sun Valley side of things. So they can kind of build that momentum, and now they're starting to have the lineup where they can kind of pile up wins and keep that going. I have Boyertown 7, Kennett 8, Springford 9. I think talent-wise, obviously if Springford's healthy, they're right in the mix. They maybe, they probably have the best chance to climb out of anybody. I had Kennett behind Boyertown. Kennett's got a very talented team. They're one of those teams where I just, like you said about Perk Valley, I need to see it from a dual meet standpoint. I trust Boyertown against Kennett, because I think Boyertown's tougher. They've been in those matches. Kennett's got a ton of talent. They're starting to get experience, but I just don't know if they're ready to handle that physicality and the momentum like we just talked about. I think they need to grow a little bit as a team first before they're really a contender. And they got some good young kids. They'll be around for a few years. It's not just a one and done thing, but for now, I just can't put Kennett too much higher than that.
Yeah, just adding to the Kennett situation for me, I did have Kennett in my top 10. We talked about it last week on Wednesday. I was telling Joe, where's this Kennett team going to land? And they finished, I believe, 5th at the Chessmont Championships. Now, I know I'm not putting a lot of stock in that. A lot of kids weren't in the lineup. They weren't wrestling full strength. But, you look at individual talented teams that are going to do well in tournaments, team titles in tournaments, and then dual meet teams. I don't know if Kennett can be that high-level dual meet team because they're not proven, just like you said, Nate. But I think individually, if they have everybody in there, they're a darn good dual meet team, and they deserve to be in this top 10 ranking. The problem for me, again, I inserted Pennsbury here. I think Pennsbury is flying under the radar. They are a good dual meet team. They don't have the household name individuals. They never have. I think the last one was Chucky Connor, a state champ from Pennsbury, and that's a long time ago when we talked about individuals at Pennsbury. Jebba, but where did he finish? He finished at Council Rock South. So this Pennsbury team is not flying under the radar anymore. Coach Sillen-Perry said Pennsbury is probably our toughest competition in that league now. Council Rock North not having the strength they used to have, and the Neshaminy being down a little bit. And Pennsbury's the next team up there. So I felt they had to be in the top 10. I put them in at 8. I don't know why. I just felt that that was a spot where they would be for those SOL teams.
I think we know why you put them there, because they're Suburban 1 team.
I just said it.
I'm on board with Nate as far as Boyertown. They just have a lot of guys that can go, and they're young. But they're also guys that have been there before. Kennett, I'm really intrigued by them. I think that by the end of the season, I think they do move up. Right now, where they're at, I'm just tempering my expectations for them. I go 9 with Springford. Right now, at the moment, I'm going like where they're at the moment with a little bit of upside. Once they get the Smiths back in their lineup, talking with a Chessmont coach, not to be named, and it's just another man. He just said, where does Springford get these guys between like 152 and 172? Just come out and just win matches, and that's a testament to the program they have. Like a lot of the Springford's has been a household name in District 1 for quite some time. They always find guys that just stay in the program, and they might not start till their senior year, and they come out and they win 18, 19 matches. They might go 18 and 16. Springford wrestled a pretty tough schedule, and then next they're at regionals, and they're just battling, and so like Springford always has this knack for finding these guys that just come out and produce.
Yeah, and they get those extra matches in the district duels and the state duels.
Right.
These are guys that are filling in. Next thing you know, they have 3 matches up at Hershey, in the state duels, and they come back the next year and they're feeling it. And that's a program thing, like you said, Joe.
So I'm going O&J at 10. Feel free to rip me however you want. They just showed well at the Bear Duels over the weekend, with still some holes in their lineup as guys get down the weight. So as that settles in and figures out and they stay healthy, I think they're definitely a top 10 team. It was really tough coming down the stretch here between with O&J and Westchester Henderson. If you look at O&J, I think they outplaced Boyertown over the weekend. But again, like it's kind of hard to say in that opening weekend of things to who where we're at now in December as opposed to where we're going to be at in late January into February when it comes time for district duels and things like that. Henderson's right in the cusp there as well. Rob Bigley doing a phenomenal job of just developing talent and just creating a culture like just tough kids, definitely, they have kids that spend time in that program, and again, similar to like what I said about Springford, where when it's their turn, and they produce for that program. So that's where I finish out my top 10. I don't know what you guys want to say about the rest of your top 10. Glenn, I agree with you with Pennsbury to a point, but again, because they haven't shown it in some time, that's what probably kept them off my list. If we went 12 teams, you can draw straws, I think, with like O&J, Henderson, Pennsbury, because they're very similar. And again, we talked about it during the broadcast last week. Pennsbury has over 60 kids on their team this season, as the Chamonix has an army of kids. Again, and because we were talking about Penridge and Rock South with robust rosters of kids.
Yeah, so. I don't know if you're seeing that in the Chessmont, Nate, but we're seeing a big spike in rosters throughout all of the Suburban 1 League, and I'm hoping that's going on in District 1. So, a couple other things just to mention about Westchester Henderson. Westchester Henderson, again, I don't take them out of the top 10 until they prove me wrong. Otherwise, they've been a stalwart team here for the last 5 years. And Rob Bigley does a phenomenal job. Kind of next man up mentality for him as well, and they just don't change. They don't change their mentality. They wrestled well again at Pottstown. Not the highest level of competition, but they won that tournament. Right out of the gate. So, and they have some big names in Cortez and some of these other guys that have been around. So I had to keep them in there. But I do want to talk about some of these other teams. I'm sure Nate, you do too. But Joe, before you got to go, are you going to be able to hang in here a little bit longer? To mention some of the other teams that are not on your top 10 or on any of the top 10s?
For me, that aren't on the top 10, well, I mentioned about Pennsbury, Westchester, Henderson. If you think Suburban 1, I think as the season winds on, you're gonna see those two teams emerge. I thought Radnor showed well over the weekends at the Bear Duels. They have some pieces in place. They're tough down low. They got some big guys up top. Again, it's no way, shape, or form is Radnor a household name, no disrespect intended, but they had a really nice showing over the weekend, put some people on notice with some really tough guys that they have. I think Conestoga is also, you mentioned that, down there in that main line, there's a little bit of a buzz. There's some tough wrestlers there. I think you're going to see that as Conestoga with some of the individual talent they have win some matches. And then Abington's got a few guys as well that I'm interested to see how they develop under the tutelage of David Osei there at the Galloping Ghosts.
Yeah, the Central League's interesting to watch. It's been Great Valley. It's been Strathaven the last few years. Great Valley graduated a ton. Strathaven lost some big names.
Garnet Valley.
What did I say, Great Valley?
Yeah, it's okay. It's
the
Chestmont in you.
GB, yeah, I can't get away from the Chestmont. Garnet Valley, Strathaven, obviously been the two pillars there. They lose kids, but Garnet Valley seems to always replenish. Like we said earlier, Strathaven, with their strength up with the upper weights, I think they can they can score points up top, and that's always a big deal in dual meets. Conestoga's on the rise a little bit, like we've been saying, but it'll be interesting to see how the Chestmont or the Central League kind of does this year. Doesn't seem like it has that powerhouse, so it's kind of open for the taking, which is kind of rare lately. Chestmont,
and makes it exciting too. Something we haven't seen in I think in the 8 years we've been doing this, I think it's been a pretty cut and dry. Always Garnet Valley's been always in the mix, and then it's always who else? Has it been Upper Darby? Has it been Strathaven? It's been the same couple names. Now they said there's a lot more parity, and that definitely going to make it exciting down the stretch.
Yeah, and Westchester Henderson, they've won. I can't remember. I should know this, but 4 or 5 straight league titles. So obviously they're the standard there, and they're a better dual team than a tournament team this year. With kind of Cortez is kind of their only star, but they have a lot of guys that sat behind starters last year that are stepping up already. But I think Downingtown West is one of those fringe teams that maybe if things go right, they can kind of work their way close to the top 10. Not having Troy Mack as a heavyweight this year, that's a big loss for them. He didn't come out, so that would have been a big 1-2 combo with Mason Hale up top. But they have solid kids all the way throughout. A pretty good freshman, Braden Siegel at 107, his brother Chase Siegel. So they kind of got some tough, talented kids scattered through there. It's just all about minimizing damage in some of their holes.
Yeah, so just for me to add to my grouping, when I did my top 10 earlier today to submit to Mike, I totally omitted Faith Christian and Perkiomen Valley. So I had to reshuffle my lineup, and I did have Central Bucks South in my top 10. This is an up-and-coming team. Chris Meister has done a great job since taking over the Titans. You'll see it right away in their wrestlers. The weight room has been a big factor, but the talent levels increased there. The numbers have increased. Their schedule has gotten better. It needs to get better, but they're a team to keep an eye on. In the Suburban 1 League, in the division with Penn Ridge. I think also a couple other teams we talked about, Stoga, I mentioned them earlier. Radnor, again, is a team to keep an eye out there on the main line. So two schools right next to each other out there, Conestoga and Radnor. O&J Roberts I had in my honorable mention, along with Downingtown West, but another team that is poised for success. Certainly in their division, the SOL is Upper Dublin. They have some real good talent. They have Austin Pendleton back, one of their better wrestlers. He's a senior this year, and they've added some younger talent in Joseph Sirianni, a freshman, to go along with Danny Gorman, regional qualifier a year ago. So they have a full lineup. They have 50 in the room. You heard Dave Jones say that earlier with the coaches. So there are some teams that we haven't seen, Nate, in this top 16 that we're going to see for the tournament. And it always gets hard after 10. I mean, we used to, in the old days, I think we got to 12, no problem. Remember, we used to go 24 deep.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So it was really difficult once you got after 16. But I think it's really going to be tough this year. And we're going to see some head-to-head matches with some of these teams. And I hope we get to see some. I know Pennsbury travels to a lot of dual meet tournaments. We're starting to see these other teams do it. So maybe we get some head-to-heads prior to coming in than just the league
we
matches.
Sun Valley, Spring Ford coming up next week.
There you
that's
go.
A fun interleague kind of matchup. I think there should be some good 6-10, 7-9, or 7-10s, 8-9 matchups at district duels this year, because there is a lot of parity at the bottom of the rankings here. There's some interesting streaks that we're looking at too. Council Rock South's been to 9 straight state duels appearances. Springford's been to 5 straight. So both of those guys are trying to keep that going. Boyertown hasn't been since 2019. Penridge hasn't been since 2015. So it's a couple of old names that were norms. They're trying to get back into the mix there.
Yeah, and if you go back, you want to go back even further in history. Pennsbury is one of those teams that was always right there in the top of District 1 and District Duels. Jeff Madden started these District Duels years and years ago. The PIAA followed with the team championship that really has taken on, a lot of prestige. I mean, winning that team title, AAA, AA, is pretty important to some teams, and it's a goal of theirs. And you see a lot of these teams that obviously have, lofty aspirations to get to the team championships. And Hershey also do very well in the individual championship. So it's kind of nice to see some of these new teams kind of, popping, into the top 10. And again, I hope we can, start to see those teams we mentioned, Conestoga, O&J, Downingtown West, Upper Dublin, Kennett, CB South, Sun Valley, and Pennsbury really kind of get into that top 10 and see what they can do the rest of the year. One of the things that we wanted to mention was the difference, what's going to look different in the district duels this year. You're going to see each top-seeded team is going to host that first match. So we're not going to be at multiple group sites. We're going to be at They're just going to be 8 individual dual meets. It's going to be tough to cover, Nate. You can't be in 2 places at one time. I'm sure Mike's going to try and have Joe, himself, and I at different sites, and we might be able to pull those broadcasts off. So we'll see what we do. And then we'll all get together again like we did since COVID for one day at Upper Dublin for the championship. So a little different look this year. I think it takes care of a lot of logistical problems. I think it gives the host school a chance to get another home meet for those seniors. I think that's really cool. So we'll see how that works this year. I think it's everything we do is usually a pilot program. So we'll see how it works. We'll see how attendance is, because District 1 often gets stuck with a big bill with officials and all that. So really, if you just run it like one dual meet, it's really good, but it's a really high-level dual meet for the host school being the higher seat. So we'll see how that goes. We're back on camera. Joe has left us. Nate, welcome to your first preview show on camera here with Joe and I. Do you have anything to wrap up your season preview? I know you do a lot of work for the media that you cover, and certainly I do for the Suburban One League. Do you want to share anything else with your league and any wrestlers or coaches out there?
It's just the time of year where there's just a lot of excitement for everybody around here. Chesmont-wise, it's the first time since 2014 they haven't had a returning medalist. So Chesmont, kind of like District 1, I think is on the rise. A lot of good young talent. They're trying to kind of build from the bottom. You look at the PA Power rankings. Only 18 District 1 wrestlers ranked in the top 8 on PA for 3A. Obviously, having faith at the AA, that's going to be new for District 1. So obviously we would assume we're going to see more medals at the AA level. It'll be interesting to see.
I think we're going to probably quadruple it since in the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But you bring up a good point. Only those 18 wrestlers ranked in the top 8. We did have a low medal count last year, and I think we were, as a collective group in District 1, not only the coaches but the fans and the wrestlers, were disappointed with our performance. And it really, that first round has hurt us at States, and Mike and I are sitting way up top in our booth, and it was painful. I do expect to see more wrestlers move into the PA Power top 8 over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, with Quakertown getting on the mat Wednesday night, Perk Valley getting out on the mats for the first time, and some of these other teams getting into some better competitions. I think after Christmas time, it'll start to shake out a little bit. You'll start to see our guys go to the Lehigh Valley. I think we have the Bethlehem Classic. Some of the other teams are going different places. Council Rock South going down to the Beast. So you might see some names kind of move into that top 8. I mean, that's my thought. I think we're going to garner a lot more medals than last year, and I don't believe that just as District 1 homer either. I just see that the individual talent level that we have is capable of getting high on the podium. So
it's something to watch for sure, because the explosion of club wrestling. You go to the Giant Center and you don't see high school names anymore. You see Stellar Train, you see Black Sheep, you see Dark Knights and all that kind of thing. It's almost like kids are more proud of their clubs these days. But on the flip side of that, these kids are wrestling a lot more. They're getting to more high profile off season tournaments. be interesting to see how District 1 kind of evolves, with Faith Christian up there, getting a lot of kids to come in there. Like we said earlier, maybe a few less kids go to Bethlehem Catholic. Maybe they stick around District 1. Malvern Prep is obviously, one of the best teams in the country over in Chester County. So having these teams, Malvern Prep, Faith, Lions Den, Turk's Head, cracking down in Kennett and some of those schools.
Yeah, we're going to keep them homegrown. Faith Christian, I think a lot of people look at Faith Christian and say, where are they getting these kids from? Those kids are from the surrounding areas that they're able to draw from. The PIAA is very concrete on, what geography you can draw kids from. So they're following the rules. Build it and they will come, as they say. Council Rock South went through this. But the biggest deal is that wrestling is growing, not only in Pennsylvania, but nationally. The girls movement is growing rapidly. And I think District 1, the numbers are up and the quality of programs is up because of this club wrestling. It's almost like a collective when you go out to states and all our guys are rolling around. They're rolling around with a guy that might wrestle, in the next round. And they're all, training at a high level. And I think that's really important for the kids to realize that it does take a little bit more than just, the preseason and the short postseason. Wrestling's 365. And, we have coaches that are going out and spending just about every, bit of free time they have in the off season, running clinics, getting to clubs, making sure kids are signed up, going to summer camps or clinics, but more importantly, getting to competitions. And these kids are getting a lot more matches than they get in the off season than they do in the regular season.
Yeah,
so
you look at West, Young Guns, Dark Knights. These kids are going at it all year round, like you said, and they have no choice but to get better. Going against that competition all year round. So it's tough. Obviously, it's basketball region, the lacrosse region. I get it. There's a lot of options out there, but it's nice to see that the club programs are kind of building and that District 1 is kind of elevated because of it.
Yeah, so we're looking for a great season here at PAWrestling.com. Just remember a couple things. Mike Leister is the best in the business when it comes to stats and getting your information. Nate and I rely on him a lot when we can't get out to cover a match. We can easily jump in and get all that we need in terms of results. You can get on the forum and give us feedback and obviously make your own comments. One other thing, just a shout out to the District 1 Steering Committee that gives us kind of full access to being part of what's going on at District 1, with Mike being involved there with the seating and those type of things, and certainly Nate and all the people out there that contribute in the media. So we hope to see you on the match real soon. We'll try and be as many places as we can. If you have an idea for a big match that we're not thinking about, we are going to try and get out and cover different schools. We say that every year, and we're going to see Council Rock this week with Quakertown.
Got to get to Delco.
We got to get to Delco. We're going to try and get down there and see Kennett. We've been talking about that for a while, and Sun Valley. Hopefully, that's something we can get on the books, and maybe some other places that we haven't been. So we're going to sign off here for Joe Youngblood, Nate Heckenberger, and Mike Leister, Glenn Kaiser. Let's have a great season. We'll see you on the mats.
Good luck, everybody.